Welcome back, dear viewers. With us now over the phone is Dr. Moataz Abu Zeid, Professor of International Law, to give us his insight on the latest developments regarding the just Palestinian cause. Good evening or good morning, Dr. Abu Zeid. Thank you for joining us. Sir, Palestinian factions, we got this in just a few minutes ago. Palestinian factions have called on Egypt to host a meeting of the factions here in Egypt to discuss ways of bringing an end to the suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza and bringing a ceasefire to Gaza. Your take on the call?
Good evening, dear Mr. Muhammad, and thank you for this interference. Of course, this step or this invitation to make a meeting or a conference in Egypt about the suffering of Palestinian people in Gaza is a very good and remarkable one, and of course it is a great confession of the essential and effective role of the Republic of Egypt in the suffering for Palestinian people.
Yes. Dr. Abu Zeid, there are many issues here on the table. The issue of getting aid in, much needed aid that Israel is blocking. The issue of Israel's intentions of reoccupying Gaza, of entirely occupying Gaza. And then the issue of the ceasefire talks, the Egyptian efforts, the Qatari efforts, and supposedly the American efforts as well, to bring either a 60-day ceasefire deal or a full, comprehensive deal to end the war and return all of the Israeli hostages in Gaza back. How do you see things moving forward, and what comes before what?
Yes, of course, I agree with you. It was a very complicated consequences for the war in Gaza, starting from the war which extended for many months, and of course the diplomatic and political efforts by many countries, Egypt, USA, Qatar of course, and some countries in the neighborhood. Of course, all these efforts, and especially the efforts that presented now against the genocide or the organized genocide in Gaza. Of course, firstly, the point of stopping of the fight or the military dispute in Gaza must be the first priority, and after that, the construction of this region, which was discussed for many times and in many conferences and by many countries. Of course, this will be the second step, and of course the third step must be how to rule this self-controlled or this domestic controlled regions according to the international agreement for the territorial of the Palestinian lands.
Yes, Dr. Abu Zeid, how do you see the U.S. position on the situation? Because we hear contradictory and sometimes vague statements from U.S. President Donald Trump, and sometimes he shies away and he doesn't comment at all, and sometimes he gives comments that indicate that he wants a deal, he wants a peace deal. At other times, his comments clearly give a green light for war crime suspect Netanyahu, the Israeli premier, to continue his genocide campaign against the innocent Palestinian civilians. So how do you read the U.S. position at the moment?
Yes, of course, I agree with you that the situation of the USA was not clear from the beginning of the war of Gaza. And of course, it must be mentioned that the war in Gaza between people of Gaza and the Israeli troops was very critical because it starts in a presidential period of President Biden, and it was extended to the presidential period of President Trump. And of course, this transactional period between the two periods affected the intent and the continuing of this war. The second point that the situation of USA is remarkable, that it is related or it is measured by many interests for USA and of course for Israel, according to many achievements or many projects or many agreements between the two powers, and of course some another interests of the neighboring countries of Palestinians. Of course, Egypt is one of these countries, also must be mentioned in this effort and in this agreement. And according to the conflict or the differentiation between these interests, of course, the situation of USA must change in every period or every time of this war.
Finally, Dr. Abu Zeid, this is a very complicated situation, as you indicated. In fact, it's very foggy. Things are not clear. There is a lot of uncertainty. How do you see things moving forward? Are we moving forward to an Israeli reoccupation of Gaza, more of the genocide war against Palestinians, more of the Israeli blocking of humanitarian aid to the Palestinians and the starvation campaign against Palestinians? Or are we moving towards a potential ceasefire deal, be it a 60-day deal in preparation for a complete one, or are we moving towards an end to the war somehow? Where are we moving, in your view?
Yes, of course, we are moving forward, but we are moving too slow, and the wasting of time, of course, is paid by the people in Gaza. Many efforts was presented in this issue, and of course, the role played by the Egyptian country and the Egyptian leadership and the Egyptian military of foreign affairs. Of course, it was very clear because Egypt, since the beginning of this war, and of course before this war, of course, during many efforts, during many conferences, during many agreements and collaboration with Palestinian political parties, Egypt proved that it's keen to put a very fair settlement for this issue according to the solution of the two countries. And according to this, Egypt made many efforts with Western American and of course Arabian countries. But to prove that we are moving forward, there must be results that can be realistic on the on land, or to be embodied or to be touched by the Palestinian people, because they are suffering much more than the beginning of this war. And of course, the intention of the Israeli country is very clear, from the war to the genocide to the reoccupation. Of course, the extension of the Israeli territorial is one of the dreams that Israeli country is keen to achieve, and that's why this effort must be increased to prove that we are moving forward and to touch a real solution for this problem.
All right, Dr. Moataz Abu Zeid, Professor International Law, thank you very much for your time
Thank you.
And your insights. Thank you, sir.